And welcome, everyone. Welcome. Hey, live stream audience, you're really lucky because 5 minutes ago we couldn't get it up and running. And it's a little bit different than you might normally see, but we're coming to you live, and I hope you're coming to us live. Right now, I'd like to invite everyone who's able to stand, and we will sing our way into the day.
Well, good morning, everybody. Beautiful faces. Let's sing into this day together. I'm letting in new information into this body. I'm changing the old pathways in my mind. I know there's a no going back, 'cause I'm running on a different track. I'm letting my soul be renewed today, letting that information. I'm letting in new information into this body. I'm changing the old pathways in my mind. I know there's a no going back, 'cause I'm running on a different track. I'm letting my soul be renewed today. Let the love and abundance in. Letting the love and abundance come my way. I'm making room in my life for all I dream. I know I am what I believe, so I'm holding up a vision of me in perfect flow with the infinite every day. Letting in new information into this body. I'm changing the old pathways in my mind. I know there's a no going back, 'cause I'm running on a different track. I'm letting my soul be renewed today. I'm letting the love and abundance come my way. I'm making room in my life for all I dream. I know I am what I believe, so I'm holding up a vision of me in perfect flow with the infinite every day. In perfect flow with the infinite every day. Well, take a minute to greet some of those neighbors out there. is welcome here. All right, well, we would like to invite any kids who are here with us today to join Joe up at the front. I get to go adventure. I just walked. If you have not taken a chance to walk the trails yet, behind this building here. Whoa, let's. It's beautiful out there. It was a wonderful walk this morning. All right, let's sing them out into their outdoor classroom. Hooray for the world, I'm glad to be on it. Hooray for the world, I'm glad to be on it. Hooray for the world, it's a special place. Got Mother Nature and the human race. The world's got trees and bumblebees, rivers and lakes and the open seas, mountains and valleys and animals too, and a sun that shines on me and you. Hooray for the world, I'm glad to be on it. Hooray for the world, I'm glad to be on it. Hooray for the world, it's a special place. Got Mother Nature and the human race. Got Mother Nature and the human race.
Yay. I'm Heidi, practitioner of the day. I am happy to be here. And we practitioners are encouraged to remind you all of the availability of prayer. If you've been coming for a while, you know prayer is not begging or supplicating. It's just working with the issues you have right now. Maybe you got to go to the dentist and you have some anxiety about that. Prayer. Maybe you lost something and you can't find it and it's really annoying you. Prayer. So there are lots of us available for you. I am happy to open with this prayer. And first I want to say, hooray for the world. I am glad to be on it. And I'm so happy to be here today with you all in this room and out there watching. It is an honor. It is an honor to know that I am grounded in spirit. And I am awake. We are awake. That vast consciousness, that loving, compassionate wisdom is ours, available all the time. And I know that all is well, even when it's not. Even when it doesn't feel so good. I am getting more comfortable with that discomfort, knowing that it's all part of it. And I accept all of it. I am so grateful for the way that this life works. And so it is.
Take comfort as I am. Surrender all need for a plan. Divine presence is always at hand. Take comfort as I am. Take comfort as I am. Surrender all need for a plan. Divine presence is always at hand. Take comfort as I am. I know there's only this love healing, breathing me whole, and give thanks for it is done. Take comfort as I am, surrender all need for a plan. Divine presence is always at hand. Take comfort as I am. I know there's only one moving me to be untethered, undone. I accept this love healing, breathing me whole, and give thanks for it is done. I know there's only one. I know there's only one moving me to be untethered, undone. I accept this love healing, breathing me whole. I know there's only one moving me to be untethered, undone. I accept this love healing, breathing me whole, and give thanks for it is done. And give thanks for it is done. I surrender. I trust and I know as I surrender, I fall into the arms of love. I surrender. I trust and I know as I surrender, I fall into the arms of love. I surrender. I surrender. I trust and I know as I surrender, I fall into the arms of love. I surrender. I trust and I know as I surrender, I fall into the arms of love. I surrender, I surrender, I trust and I know as I surrender, I fall into the arms of love. I fall into the arms of love.
Ah, so nice, so nice. Well, welcome again. This is the last in a series of talks that I've been giving on contemporary violence and inner peace. And I chose that monthly topic as ahead of us all, no matter what our orientation might be, we have elections. And there's a lot of energy around all that. And I wanted to make sure that we all, from a spiritual perspective, could work with the tools that spirituality brings to us in a very concrete way in our world. So I'm going to do a brief recap of the month because each of those different talks had to do with different teachers of mine who had insight into how to handle violence, contemporary violence, and how to be peaceful in the midst of it. So the first person I started with was Thomas Merton. Thomas Merton, if you haven't read any of his stuff, start small. He's very intense. And he was a monk, an American monk in the Catholic tradition. And one of the things that he was very famous about talking about was contemporary violence. And so when I was speaking about his point of view is that we have filled our lives so much with so much that it's become too muchness. It's the contemporary violence we're experiencing is often done unto ourselves by ourselves, by too many things that we're trying to do too much of the time and not really leaving room for a sense of groundedness and peace. In addition, his understanding is that if we were to slow down enough to be present, and you'll hear this through all of my teachers because it's a key point for me, then we couldn't help but want to fall to our knees, seeing the beauty in other people. And so his point through his writings is that when we begin to other people and other populations, we've lost the incredible insight of the oneness that we share in the divine and how it radiates out from us. So that was week number 1, and the catchphrase was too much, too muchness, and you may relate to that. The second week was my teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, a Zen Buddhist monk. I started with him because I was in deep grief at the loss of my parents, and I figured this guy knew how to die well. And so I went to France, to his monastery, and studied with him a little bit, and then continued to study through the years his teachings and with him when I could get there. And his point that I brought to you is that to heal violence in the world, because of course he was famous for being part of the Paris peace talks during the Vietnam War and was nominated for a Nobel Prize by Martin Luther King Jr. So he was working to heal violence through his understanding of what inner peace was. So his whole point was, in order for us to work with the issues in the world that are difficult and are causing great harm, we have to be willing to work with the same issues within ourselves. So we can't heal, in other words, anger in the world if we're angry. We can't heal violence if we are violent, even if it's only in our thoughts. And so working with ourselves to ground into peace allows peace to flower in the world. And his famous phrase was one of that had to do with self-acceptance. So the phrase was, no mud, no lotus. So you're familiar with how lotuses grow. They have to have their feet in kind of mucky mud in order to flower out. And so our mucky mud gets witnessed and understood so that we can flower and not be driven by it. So that was the teaching in that. And then our founder of the Science of Mind philosophy, Ernest Holmes, has a lot to say about peace. He was very active in working with peace issues during World War II. He and his brother Fenwick actually started a sanatorium, is what they used to call them in those days, where they were using spiritual mind treatment, our form of affirmative prayer, to work with shell-shocked soldiers. Shell shock now is called PTSD. So they were working with principles of spirituality to help soldiers heal from the shock of what they had encountered. And Holmes's belief and mine is that it's not that peace isn't. Actually, peace is. It exists as a universal principle and characteristic of all sacred humans. However, in order to touch that peace, we need to, just like the other teachers, we need to address the forms of violence that we've allowed our mind and heart to engage and disengage from those. And then as peace is restored within our being, to join with other people in a community of people who understand peace, so that as a group consciousness, we can shift how the world is. And that's something that many of us have seen in our world, where big shifts have happened because of a dedicated, smaller group of people holding an idea or a vision or an understanding. The most powerful one for me from my childhood was, it was discovered in my childhood that the ozone layer was getting a huge hole in it, and that we're all gonna, this was my child's view, we were all gonna fry to death. I don't know if that's really what it was about, but it was because of fluorocarbons, and worldwide, fluorocarbons were banned within a short amount of time, relatively speaking, and the hole began to close up, and we all could stop being afraid of being fried by the sun getting through that hole. Can change things, and it's been a hopeful understanding of mine that capacity has not changed in us. In fact, social media can drive it. So today is the wrap-up, and I wanted to talk about what we can do in terms of our political system, our social systems, and ourselves, and how we can address contemporary violence and have peacefulness as we're doing that. So my teacher in this regard is a woman named Joan Halifax. Has anyone heard of Joan? Incredible teacher. Highly recommend this particular book. She has lots of them. This is called Standing at the Edge by Joan Halifax. Powerful book about all she's learned. She's an amazing person. I wish I could just speak for hours, but there's a picnic. So I'm just going to give you the cliff notes on Joan and me, because her teaching has deeply impacted my own willingness. So one of the things that Joan is famous for is helping people look at reality. And what I mean by that is, it's, for me, I can only speak for myself, but for me, one of my strategies about the world is to just kind of talk to the hand. I'm not looking at it. And that served me for a while, and then it was like, that's not really going to help anything change. That's just keeping me safe. But it's not really, because I'm not addressing what needs to be addressed so that I can be safe. So I woke up and realized that apathy is not a solution, and not looking at things doesn't work. And Joan quotes the famous American man, James Baldwin, maybe you're familiar with his work, who said, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing will change if it's not faced." So it's like that. And so I was in that. I was in that quote where it was like, well, maybe if I just don't deal with it, nothing changes unless we face it. And this is true at every level of our living, just so you know. I don't know if you've had people in your life that have had serious illnesses, perhaps cancer diagnoses or dementia diagnoses or Alzheimer's diagnoses, or things that are really possibly going to take them out of this life. And I don't know what you've done with that. But the teaching of nothing can change unless we face it came out of Joan's work in hospice, because she encountered relatives of people that were going through the dying process who couldn't look at it, who couldn't be with their beloveds because it was just too hard to look at, to be with. And I, as a minister for so many years, have certainly encountered that. First in myself. When I first was a minister, I was 27, and I had had some pretty negative experiences in hospitals as a youth. I'll just say the word ether, and you might understand. And so going into a hospital was frightening to me. And fortunately, I had for whatever reason, I had a lot of nurses and doctors in my congregation. And so they walked me through that fear so that I could face my own fear and therefore be there for others who were afraid. So that's one of the steps that I wanted to talk to you about. The title is, What Can We Do? We can face our own fears. We can face what is holding us back from taking action and really begin to ask ourselves, well, how can I work with this? Do I need support? Because sometimes we do. We need people to walk with us, like I did at the hospital. The other thing that I began to understand is that there's a difference between empathy and compassion. And I was born empathetic, and I know a lot of you were too. A lot of people drawn to the science of mind philosophy and spiritual path are very empathetic. They have an empathic ability, and so they pick up on things without even realizing it when they're young, and it's hard. It's like, you're standing next to someone who's not saying a word, and you can just feel that there's something terribly wrong. and so what happens with empathy is, if we're not trained in empathy ways, we take on people's energies and their suffering, and it becomes very disheartening and depressing, and we can burn out. So in a lot of the helping professions, and I know some of you are in those, it would be easy for us, if we weren't careful, to have empathy overload and become burned out, discouraged, and overwhelmed by the work that we're doing. And so there's a way to work with empathy that has to do with transforming it into compassion. And so I brought you a story about that from a very famous person. I don't know if you've heard of him, but he has a TED Talk. His name is Matthew, let me find it. He's French, and he's a Tibetan Buddhist monk. Where'd my little thing go? There we go. Matthew Ricard was willing to be a participant in a neurological study, a neuropsychology experiment, where he was put into an MRI, and they wired him all up, and watched his brain activity. And so I'm going to read it to you. Under the guidance of a neuroscientist and her team, Matthew climbed into an fMRI machine and was asked to generate empathy when contemplating the suffering of others. The night before, Matthew had watched a BBC documentary about orphans in Romania. I don't know if you've seen that. I have. It's terrifying. He was deeply disturbed by their plight. Although the children were fed and washed, they failed to thrive as they received little to no affection. Matthew shared that for these orphans, the lack of affection had caused severe symptoms of apathy and vulnerability. Many children were rocking back and forth for hours, and their health was actually in such a bad state that deaths were regular in this orphanage. Even when being washed, many of these children winced with pain, and the slightest hit could lead to a broken leg or arm. While on the fMRI machine, Matthew mentally immersed himself in the suffering of these children, visualizing them vividly and sensing into their horrendous situation as though he was one of them. Rather than modulating his experience of their suffering, he allowed himself to feel their pain and suffering as deeply as possible. Before long, he felt overwhelmed, drained, and exhausted. After an hour of this intense practice, can you imagine an hour? I can barely do it for like 5 minutes. Matthew was given the choice to continue with the empathy practice or to switch to compassion meditation. He said, without the slightest hesitation, I agreed to continue the scanning with compassion because I felt so drained after the empathic resonance. He proceeded with compassion meditation, continuing to focus on the suffering of the children. During this phase of the session, however, Matthew intentionally generated feelings of love, kindness, concern, and altruism as he brought to mind the extreme human suffering of these infants, these orphans. As the experiment concluded, Matthew described his experience during the compassion meditation as a warm, positive state coupled with a strong desire to be of service to the children. This was in distinct contrast to his earlier experience with empathy, which actually turned into empathic distress, which was completely draining and debilitating. So, compassion is different than empathy in that instead of diving into the feelings and the suffering of another, you're aware of the suffering. We're aware of the suffering, and we open our hearts to love and kindness and the energy that would surround the suffering and lift it. And just in that slight focus shift from that place of empathic distress because of the depth of suffering that we can meet in every realm, in every arena of sacred humans living, we move into a compassionate frame and we become filled with love and hope and the ability to see love and hope for others who are in a suffering situation. It's remarkably different. And so one of the things that I've noticed in myself, and maybe this is true for you, is that because I was born higher on the empathic scale, my strategy of doing this had more to do with my own suffering in the face of other people's suffering, and no one teaching me how to deal. And so I'm teaching you how to deal, especially if you're like me at all, to encounter suffering and to train in compassion meditation, literally holding the energy with love and kindness and an openness to whatever support is needed for that suffering being. This, of course, is easier when we understand that there's something greater than us that is moving in us and through us and around us. In recovery circles, this is called higher power. In our circle, we call it the divine, whatever you want to call it, it moves in the world. And when we have that understanding, we can call upon it to assist our own heart and mind and others as well. And, for me, this has been critical in my ability to face things and not feel alone, not feel left with this immense suffering and not knowing any way to do anything about it, which, we still have that. I don't know about you, but I look at some of the stuff and I'm like, I have no idea, none, zero, of how this could be healed. But fortunately for me, there is something that is so vastly wise and so incredibly loving that if I allow that to move in me, a solution in my little part of the world can show up. So I brought you another story. And this is a true story as well. And this one I hadn't heard until I read Joan's book. And so this happened during the Iraqi war. Is there anyone here that was serving in the military during the Iraqi war? Okay. So we're going to hold all of those soldiers, because there's maybe some on our live stream audience, in the understanding that that was very difficult as we hear this story. So on April 3rd, 2003, Lieutenant Colonel Chris Hughes, who is now our Brigadier General, led 200 soldiers from the 101st Airborne into the holy city of Najaf, I think that's how you say it, to liberate the town and protect Grand Ayatollah Ali al-Sistani, the spiritual leader of the Iraqi Shia Muslims, whom Saddam Hussein had put under house arrest. The American soldiers were marching down a street near the Imam Ali Mosque, the holiest Shia mosque in all of Iraq, its golden cupolas a crown against the dusty sky. A crowd of Iraqi civilian men had gathered to watch. The crowd seemed friendly until suddenly the mood changed radically. The crowd surged toward the troops, shrieking with rage, fists moved, rocks flying. As Hughes later learned, Ba'athist agitators had spread the false rumor that the Americans were there to invade the mosque and arrest the cleric. Hughes's troops, who hadn't slept in days, were heavily armed and frightened by this sudden turn of events. Hughes sensed that if anyone fired a shot, a massacre would ensue. He also immediately understood that from the Iraqis' point of view, the Americans seemed to be disrespecting their most sacred mosque. The obvious solution to him was to show them a gesture of genuine respect and peace. So he did something remarkable. He pointed the barrel of his rifle at the ground, raised it high in the air, showing the crowd that he did not intend to fire it. He ordered his troops, everyone smile, don't point your weapons at them, take a knee, relax. His soldiers looked at Hughes and each other, wondering if he'd lost his frickin' mind. Still, they followed orders. In bulky body armor, they each got down on one knee, pointed their rifles at the ground, and smiled. Some Iraqis continued to yell, but others backed off and sat down. Some even returned the smiles. In a moment of empathic resonance, Hughes ordered his troops through a loudspeaker to stand up and back away. We're going to withdraw out of this situation and let them diffuse it themselves, he said, placing one hand over his heart in a traditional Muslim gesture, meaning peace be with you. He told the crowd, have a nice day, and he led the regiment away. Hughes and his regiment marched back to their compound in silence. After tempers had calmed, the Grand Ayatollah issued a decree asking the people of Najaf to welcome Hughes's soldiers. Later, Hughes told CBS News, whose embedded cameraman had captured the whole incident, in terms of the scale of significance, That is the mosque that would have probably not just have caused every Shia in that country to rise up against the coalition, it probably would have also at least brought in the Syrians, if not the Iranians. Hugh's ability to take the perspective of the Iraqis in a moment of extreme pressure avoided the loss of countless lives. So I bring you that because when we can practice opening to the whatever you want to call it, I often call the divine presence spirit, but you call it what you want. But if we open to that and we allow a greater intelligence, a greater wisdom, a greater love to show up by means of us, through us, as us, and in us, solutions like that can happen without the individualized personality necessarily even knowing where it comes from. And we can open to situations in our personal lives. I'm not talking about let's all go over to Iraq, but I'm saying here in our very own country, in our very own place, we're experiencing places where if we're willing to face what's occurring, know it for what it is, work with compassion for ourselves and others, take the other's point of view. This is stopped, by the way, in our political system a lot. So we can do that. We can take another's view, even if we don't like it or believe in it or think it's right, but we can see that from someone else's position, the way they're looking at things makes what they're doing makes perfect sense. And in that understanding, we can diffuse and open and be part of solutions that might not have been possible had we just othered them and said, well, you're wrong. You know, you're whatever. I can think of a lot of things I could say right there, but I won't. So here's the thing. There's steps to what we can do. So the first is to remain open. And to remain open in difficult situations, takes some inner work. It really does. Just like me at the hospital, having some traumatic experiences that made it almost impossible for me as a minister when I first started to go in there. We all have stuff like that. And so the inner work is to be able to work with our own so that we can become open and remain open in situations that are difficult. The second step is to bear witness. It's an old-fashioned way of talking about being willing to not instantly jump in with my opinion, but instead to kind of be Colonel Hughes and sort of know that there's a greater thing going on that I might need to bear witness to understand the dynamics that are happening. They think we're going to desecrate their most sacred mosque. Oh, well, that's not what we're here for. Okay, we need to re-strategize on the spot, bear witness, and then that takes us into responding with care, which we all, you do that. I know you people. You do that. You respond with care and kindness as much as you can, and that takes some insight. And then here's the last thing that Joan is a big believer in, and you know me, you know I am too. Be part of a community. Doesn't have to be this one, but hey, this is a pretty great one. I think it's cool. But becoming part of a larger circle of people who can hold each other as we try to work with difficult issues. And when one of us falls off the edge and kind of moves into empathic distress or apathy or whatever, can be the one that sort of puts the rope down and gets them to rappel back up the cliff so they can stand with us again. That's priceless. And that's another thing that's been lost in our culture, actually, in my view. And we need that. We need to hold each other We need that human to human support. So thank you for being part of this community. Whether you're brand new or not, it's so valuable to all of us to have a group of people who hold each other and walk together on the path, even if their view of what the path is about is slightly different, which you'll find here. So I'll do a prayer for all of us for inner peace. How about that? Take a breath with me and let it out. Peace is just a breath away. The moment I remember to breathe deeply, I allow my body, mind, and spirit to enter into a rhythm that at its heart is peaceful. As I breathe in peace, I remember all the places where peace is so needed in my own life first. And as I breathe out, I know that there is a deeper wisdom and love moving in me, healing and revealing solutions in my personal life so that my own inner peace is restored, strengthened. This allows me to bring peace into the larger circle of those I'm connected with. I know that I can't change everybody. I'm not even trying. But instead, I move with my own sense of sovereignty and peace, grounded in deep wisdom and love, willing to sit with and stand with people who are suffering and bring them my presence as a healing balm, a supportive friendship, and a willingness to stand in compassion with whatever's happening. As I do this, I personally am transformed. I become more sturdy in my true nature, more open with my heart and mind to solutions flowing through me. I develop a strong back, an upright stance in the face of difficulties in my own life and in the life that we share. And moving forward, I am able to be part of the solution rather than part of the problem. I'm so grateful to understand this and to open to inner peace happening by means of me. I know it is, and so it is. Thank you. I know that our ushers are preparing for the offertory, and welcome Charlene to the usher team. As they're coming forward, I want to thank you for any donations you can make to the center. I know many of you do that on a monthly basis. We're so grateful because we can do all this because of what we all do. So thank you very much.
I am open, may I be a vessel for this love and wisdom and healing. I am open, may I be the nectar, oh, medicine that's mine to freely give. May my movement offer peace, may my breath invoke the love, may my hands and heart stay open to the wonder and the awe. May my movement offer peace, may my breath invoke the love, may my hands and heart stay open to wonder and the awe. I am open, may I be a vessel for this love and wisdom and healing. I be the nectar, oh, medicine that's mine to freely give. May my movement offer peace, may my breath invoke the love, may my hands and heart stay open to the wonder and the awe. May my movement offer peace, may my breath invoke the love, may my hands and heart stay open to the wonder and the awe. I am open, may I be a vessel for this love and wisdom and healing. I am open, may I be the nectar, oh, medicine that's mine to freely give, oh, medicine that's mine to freely give.
Ones, right? They're really fun and powerful. One announcement before we go into the slideshow of announcements is, do you know we have a victory garden, and that garden typically produces between 250 and 400 pounds of organic veggies for the food bank. And so the team, which is relatively small, and if you want to join them, they'd be thrilled, has been planting and already harvesting bok choy and all kinds of stuff. But what they need now, and we're hoping maybe some of you might have these that you could donate to the center, they need tomato cages or 3/4 inch to 1 inch bamboo poles, because the tomatoes are starting to vine and they need to support them so they don't hit the ground and get blight. So if you have those and you want to drop them off, you can bring them to the office or next Sunday, and they'd be so grateful. One more thing we don't have to buy. So that's that. Okay. Do you want to show the slide, the next slide? This is from the teen group. They couldn't be here because Rylan, who's our teen advisor, is speaking in Mount Vernon CSL. So she created this slide, and she just really wanted you to know, all of you who donated either by being part of a trivia team or bringing baked goods or buying baked goods, that you covered their costs for camp this summer. And of course, whoever was on Herd of Turtles, or any of you heard of turtle people? Michael. They won. It was down and dirty contest, and they came out ahead. All right, let's see what's next. Oh, of course, today our board. Hey, board members who are not already out there, do you want to stand for a minute so they can see who you are? Board members, stand. We all wanted to celebrate community. We know we're heading into a transitional time as I retire and a new person comes on. And we want the community to know how important we all are to one another. So you've brought food, we've brought different kinds of hot dogs, and we invite you, whether you're just hearing about this or you knew, to come out and enjoy community together in this picnic. The coffee, because I know that's important to some of us, is still in the classroom. So you can grab a cup of coffee if you'd like in there. And our earth altars, we've had 4 submissions already. We think there'll be another 3 or 4 coming in. But if you're just hearing about this, the applications are on the classmate desk in the classroom with coffee. And we'd love you to take a moment, think about an earth altar that you would love to create, and submit an application for that idea. And the Earth Stewards are going to review all those. And then during the summer, we're going to invite those applicants to install their work. And we'll have a grand celebration walk through the trails in September when they're all installed. So, and this is the time. We do every year this incredible healing fair where we invite healers from all over to come and set up a booth and bring their products or their services to a larger community that we support. We support the healers in doing that. And we, of course, are part of that. And it's absolutely an incredible event. How many of you have gone to one of these? I mean, it's fun, first of all, and you can have things like have your Akashic Records read, or buy an incredible product that will help you with whatever, and everything in between. But we need volunteers from our community to help. And so we're wondering, the big premio thing about being a volunteer is you get into the fair for free. So we usually don't have trouble finding volunteers, but we would love to ask you if you would be willing to go into the classroom and sign up if you know you're available the week of the fair. July 20th is the fair. There's a couple volunteer spots for prior to, and then the night before, we have the vendors come, and volunteers help them offload their stuff and get it all set up so that they can just show up in the morning and be present. We have security guards. Their names are Biff and Laurel. They're community members who have an RV, and they patrol all night long, bless their hearts, so that we can make sure everybody's stuff is safe. And then the day of the fair, we have shifts. We have people coming before, during, and after. So if you can volunteer, it's super fun, I promise you. And we really need the help. All right. Oh, okay, so the Walrus is a very famous local group. How many of you have heard of the Walrus? Okay, they are a rock and roll band. They are super fun. They have a website if you're curious. But the Walrus has over 1,000 people on their mailing list. And so they've given us grace to sell tickets to our own community members before they open it to the larger circle of people that would love to come to a Beatles sing-along. So we've sold about 30 tickets from just us, but this week is the last week. Starting next Sunday, they're opening it to everybody. So if you were saying to yourself, oh, that would be so fun, I invite you to commit. Bellingham has a habit of waiting to the last minute. Have you noticed that? I wouldn't do that with this one because there's only 150 tickets, and it's going to be a sellout, and it will be so fun. So Friday, the 26th of July. And then we have a number of programs for unhoused people, and one that pulled at our heartstrings a lot is, you may know that the foster program dumps kids out of the program at age 18. And they often have nowhere to go and no one supporting them. So a lot of these kids have never had a birthday cake. If they have had, they've never gotten the one they wanted. And so we started providing birthday cakes for young adults who were unhoused and asking them what kind they would like. And we can't always match what they want. We try, but we need a couple more cake bakers because the program has swelled. We are baking between 4 and 10 cakes a month now. And part of that is because then someone said, well, what about the unhoused seniors? And we're like, oh, okay. And so the tiny villages that have, now they're housed, but they were unhoused seniors in these tiny homes, bring a cake to them once a month as well. So if you'd like to be a cake baker, if you love making cakes, we would love you to be part of this team. And you can even cheat and buy a cake if you need to. We'd love you to be a part of that team. And I was at this tasting group around the world in 8 tastings last night. And thank you to Malcolm and Chris, who understandably are watching on the live stream. Hi, guys. Thank you. But we've also had 2 others that I don't know if they got thanked, but I want to thank them personally again. If they have, Kathy Brigado and Greg Meredith did Tuscany Retreat, and Colleen and Bob did Salmon on the Sound. Thank you so much for doing that. More coming right on up. And that's it. So if you're able, let's stand, we'll sing, and then we'll do picnic.
Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of peace. Make me an instrument there is sadness, I will bring joy. Where there is darkness, I will shine. I am an instrument of peace. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of peace. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of peace. Where there is hatred, I will love. Where there is sadness, I will bring joy. Where there is darkness, I will shine. I am an instrument of peace. Sing, I am an instrument of peace. I am an instrument of peace. I am an instrument of peace. So wonderful to see you today. Enjoy the food. We'll see you soon.